What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another great interview here on Veteran Influencers. And as always, we always have a great guest. And before we go over the full introduction for our guest, I definitely want to do a shout out real quick. I want to give a big shout out to my partner, Gunner Moody, or should I say Master on Select Moody.
All day.
Yeah. Hey, she's my partner on Ask a Vet. You know, that's the other podcast that I run. She's out in the field right now doing some work, and she's also helping to plan for the next season of Ask a Vet. So big shout out to her. Thank you so much for your hard work and dedication. Also, I want to make sure, if you guys haven't already done so, make sure you guys go to veteran_influencers on Instagram and YouTube. Make sure you guys subscribe, hit the notification bell, all that good stuff, so you can see all the future videos, notifications for it as well. Also on Facebook, Veteran Influencers, as well. If you want to follow Ask a Vet on Facebook, ask_a_vet1775 on Instagram, and Ask a Vet on Facebook. Hey, we're doing big things for 2021, just in case you don't know that already. But hey, 2020, we set the tone. While a lot of people were sleeping stagnant, we set the tone in 2021. Hey, that's what we're going to make our move. Hey, and we're going to make that money. First thing, second interview of the year. You know what I'm saying? We got somebody that I actually met on the drill field. And he was with Lima Company, you know what I'm saying? I'm sorry. No, just Lima. Hey, hey, but he bled blue, so, you know, no hate there. I think I met him I think I was still like a newer green belt. And, you know, I heard nothing but good things about him. A couple things from other people where he definitely held him to a standard, but it's something I always respected. And we'll go over it a little bit farther into detail a little bit later. But then I ended up running into him at OCS when he was the company. Were you the company first on, or just the chief?
Company gunny, you're the chief.
Okay, so where he was the chief over there as well. Highly influential, and I learned so much from him. So, hey, ladies and gentlemen, my boy Luis Cardenas.
Hey guys, what's going on? I'm here to support my boy Levi. You know, like I said, I even told my wife, I was like, hey, I got the interview. And she's like, what? At what time? I was like, 9:30. She's like, with who? I was like, you know, Levi's like, oh yeah, he was 2nd Battalion. Like, she even hates. She's like, well, like, no, he wasn't. She was like, what? I was like, yeah. I was like, whatever. I was like, she's all lost in the salsa, like I say. Like, so I still gotta put her in check. And she's been out for a minute, you know. But I know a lot of you guys don't know. You know, my wife was a Marine. I'm out in the drill field, so that's all. You know, big story. And here we are, 10 years later, still married. So yeah, man, thanks for having me on. Like I said, we spoke offline. You know, I listen to a lot of podcasts. I do a lot of audibles. I mean, when you're out and about, sometimes you can't just sit and I got 3 boys. You can't sit there and read a book. You know, sometimes you pop your iPhone and you hit Audible and you're reading a book, and it's like you try to get as much knowledge as you can. So yeah, man, thanks for having me. Thanks for inviting me. I know it's been a long time coming ever since, you know, I got out, and I've been following you since day one. You know, I've been supporting, you know, trying to. The time difference sometimes don't help, you know, because I got little ones and they got to go to bed. And I'm not gonna lie, one time I was in my little weird, but I was in my bedroom and my wife was showering. I was watching you and Moody, you know, on going at it, and she's like, "What are you doing?" Like, you know, I'm watching my people. She's like, "I'm trying to take a shower. Like, they can't see you." She's like, "You never know." Like, that volume, and you guys are going back and forth. And she's like, "Baby, I gotta support my people." She's like, well, I'm like half butt naked, and you're watching some podcast, something like, they can't watch me. It's like, how do you know that they're not gonna? You push a button, and you're like, whatever, girl, get back in the room. But it's like every time I hit that and I hit that live, and I hit that, you know, watch, whatever, hit that support. So yeah, no, much props, man, much props.
Hey, I appreciate that. Hey, real quick before we get started too far in depth, is there anywhere where you want people to follow you at, or I don't know, because I know right now you're doing your real estate, so it definitely helps to have some of that attention.
Oh, no, I'm good, man. Like, I'm over here in Texas, but like I said, like, we're blessed. I'm blessed. I'm retired. My wife and I, you know, we go to school. She's got her master's. I mean, it's people word of mouth, you know, like I got my own WWE Casas Cardenas, you know, that's my website. But I mean, just hit me up. You know, you got veterans, you got anybody trying to buy a house. But I'm not the type of guy, you know, I want to look out for you. But I mean, if I get it, I get it. If not, you know, I'm still gonna live. I'm still gonna bleed blue, like we say. So, you know, don't sweat that, brother. I'm all about, you know, supporting you and supporting all the other veterans, helping them out.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about. Hey, I love hearing stuff like that. Selfless people, man. And you can definitely tell for the most part when somebody actually means it. Because, you know, you hear that all the time about people like, oh, you know, if you ever need anything, just call me or whatever. And then you call, they never answer the phone. It's like, bro, stop it.
I got stories for days, man. You retired. I kid you not. I kid you not. Like I was like, I was going, showing the door, and we'll get to that, whatever. But I was like, the day after, man, like no crap, radio silence. Like, which it was good. Like, okay, it's expected, but it was like, it was just weird because not one single text, nothing. I was like, okay, you're living it, but a week, 2 weeks, like, man, this is like, it's weird. Cause in the Marine Corps, you used to like group text and all this stuff, whatever, it's like boom. It's like, man, is my phone still working? That's an adjustment. That is an adjustment where you have to like no text, no phone calls, nothing. I was like, man, this is weird. So I was like, yeah, no, I mean, it is what it is, but yeah, it's radio silence definitely when you retire.
Were you still trying to message saying that you're alive in the morning and stuff?
Oh, heck no, man. Heck no. But it's weird, man, because it's like they need when people get out and go to the VA, be like, hey, I need PTSD for my phone because I wake up in the midnight checking my phone and like, there's nothing there. It's like, because you're in the Marines, like you're good text, like, oh, but it's weird, man. You wake up in the morning, you look for your phone, you think you're laying like, and it's like, it's the iPhone, like the screen is blank. You're like, what? Like not one single text, like, so. Yeah,
you're like this. Are notifications on?
Nothing. Like you check your email, you're trying to refresh it. Like what? Nothing. Not even junk mail. Like come on, man.
Yo, spam folder empty. Come on, bro.
Yeah, no, man. Like it's no MOL training, nothing like that. I know I'm delinquent in something, a flu shot or something.
Hey, you trying to log on the Marine Net? It says account is no longer it's no longer enabled. Like, come on, man. Bro. I'm trying to do some MCIs,
The Marine Corps does a great way of quick disconnect when you retire. Like I kid you not, man. Like it's phenomenal the way they do it. Like it's quick disconnect. Like dang, that was fast. So, which was just good, It lets you know just like anything else, man. Hey, you're done. Bye. Thank you for service. Deuces, So they'll still keep going. I know they're still trucking. Marine Corps still doing great things. So they don't need me. They're not gonna need you when you retire. It's just they're gonna keep going.
I definitely want to hit back on at some point throughout this interview. I definitely want to hit back on that whole point about the quick disconnect, and I want to tie that into some other points. But let's go ahead and get started. You know what I'm saying? In the beginning, we like to talk about early life because we know what the end result is, where you're at now, which we'll kind of go over a little bit later. But I want to know about baby Luis. You know what I'm saying? I want to know how it was when you, from the time you was young, your upbringing, where you're from, and, certain things that were kind of instilled in you in a young age to kind of help you to lead to where you're at now.
Yeah, no. So if you see me looking this way, it's because I got the two screens. So I got the laptop and the big screen. So let me move you over here so I can look straight. There we go. So no, I grew up. I'm from Texas. I was born in New Mexico, but I ended up being raised in El Paso, Texas, and then ended up migrating to Texas. I'm a son of two immigrant parents. They came into this country illegally. They ended up overstaying their stay illegally, but at the end, Ronald Reagan, my dad and mom were part of the generation where they were pardoned by Ronald Reagan and ended up getting the residency throughout that whole debacle. So they got the residency, and growing up, I did my thing. I vaguely remember my childhood, and that's because being blown up in Iraq and some TBI stuff, it makes you erase some of the long-term memory. But I was like, I remember a lot of my teenage years and most of my stuff, but I know at some point when my mom told me the whole story, how they became residents and ended up becoming citizens of the U.S., I felt like I owe this country something. Everybody asked me, like, why did you join? I'm like, why did you go to the Marine Corps? And I was like, and I tell the story like, well, I think that, for what Ronald Reagan and that presidency did for my parents, I'm like, you know what? I owe this country that. I owe them my service, at least 4 years for doing that for my parents. And that was another crazy ride, because believe it or not, and people don't believe me, like when I went to the Marines, I had no idea what the Marines were. I grew up like Mexican. Like I taught my parents English. Like I was in school English, at home Spanish. Like that's how I learned. I went to school and I learned English at school and I learned Spanish at home. And then my parents we had to teach them English. But it was at the point where going back when I learned the story, my parents telling me like, hey, we got a residency for Ronald Reagan. We were like, okay, like, you know what? So I went and I was going to the Air Force. Believe it or not, I was going to the Air Force. They took their sweet ass time and they were like,
Hey, shout out to the Air Force.
yeah,
We
no,
love y'all.
that was my thing. I was like, I wanted to go fix jet aircraft, whatever, but they took too long. And at that time, I was a little bit buck wild, and I had like 5 speeding tickets and all that stuff. And
Oh, what?
I needed the recommendations. I did everything the Air Force wanted me to do, and they were like, nope. They were like, well, the tech sergeant's on leave. Like, you can go talk to the Marines next door. I'm like, where are the Marines? Like, who are they? Like, I had no idea what. So I walked in next door, man. I walk in. I'm like 17 years old. I go in. There's this yoke black stat sergeant, man. He's got his Charlie's on. He's got his fruit salad. And he's like, what can I do for you, motivator? And I'm like, motivator? I'm like, okay. He's like, sit down. We sit down. Man, he showed me a video, told me 13 weeks boot camp. I'm like, I'm ready to go. Man, they couldn't put me in the Marine Corps fast enough. For a couple of months, I'm living my thing, graduated high school, and then my recruiter says, hey, so I got a pulley. He can't shit because he's fat. I put you in the hot burner.
Oh, what?
Like, yeah, man. I wanted to go as soon as possible, but there was a delayed program, and there was like, I'm gonna put you here on the hot burner in case somebody can go. Man, like 2 months later, he's like, hey, I got a fat body. He didn't make weight. Can you ship out tomorrow? I was like, yeah, and I was at work. Told my boss, hey, man, I gotta go. I'm shipping out tomorrow. Called my girlfriend, broke up with her. Went home, told my parents, hey, mom, I gotta ship out tomorrow. So they took me to the hotel. They took me to the hotel that night, dropped me off. Next day, shipped out to boot camp, and that was a rude awakening. It was.
Well, you broke up with your chick, like
that's from the get-go, man. That's always been my number one thing. Like, if you're gonna commit, dedicate, you don't need outside influences. You don't need something that's gonna distract you from the mission. Even when I went to Iraq and Fallujah the second time, I broke up with my girlfriend too, because I didn't want, when you make decisions, you're like, oh man, I don't know if I want to attack the hill per se, because I miss my girlfriend, or isn't that whatever. So I was fortunate that when I went to Iraq, I was single, no kids, so I was a little bit crazy, but it was like I was that kind of individual. I didn't want nothing hindering my decision making because I was in love or whatever. So if it's meant to be, she'll be here when I come back. But yeah, it was that fast. I dropped me off at the hotel, and I still passed by here in Houston. It was like a Roach Coach motel. Like, it dropped me off, and I didn't know what I was doing. Yeah, man, it's still there. Every time I pass by, I remind my kids and my wife, look, that's where your daddy. Because now it's like, it's bad. It's like what do they call them? Those hotels, or for poverty.
Motel 8s or the Motel 6s or something?
No, they're like Section 8. Like, they're I'll think about it later. But yeah, no, it was that fast. I went out there, and then I got to boot camp, and I was like, oh man, we got to receiving. Now I know, because we were hats. We're receiving.
Hold on to that. Don't go too far yet. Don't go too far, because I want to kind of still touch on like early years though. And believe me, I'm extremely excited about that. You got me all hype.
Yeah. And that was it. Like, I grew up with 2 younger sisters and then 2 older siblings, 2 brothers. It's a family of 5. My dad, paycheck to paycheck, extremely Mexican, macho guy. Till the day he passed away in July of this past year. He never got a hug. He never told me he loved me. The one thing I got was a handshake when I shipped to boot camp, and he was like, "Hey, go out there, but don't mess up don't quit, because it's not your last name, it's mine." Shook my hand, and I was gone. And that's the kind of father he was. It was, and then he was very, 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 very strict growing up. And that's just the way that he was, and that's the way he was raised. Very, very tough. I remember when I was young, and I would help him do work on his Corvette, his Camaro. He would ask for a wrench, and I'd be in the wrong wrench. He would take that wrench and hit me in the head, and I would get knots. Dude, I swear, I had 4 knots by the time I brought him the correct wrench that he was asking me for. And that's how I learned. That's how I learned all the tools, stuff like that. But he was that individual that, you learn by muscle memory, or, by getting beat. And that's all I knew, So, and I think in big picture, that's how it made me the person I was. How I survived combat, how I survived the Marine Corps, once I saw, when I went to boot camp, I'm like, this is nothing. My dad was more strict than this. I mean, I grew up telling my dad, yes, sir, no, sir. My mom, yes, ma'am. To this day, that's what was expected of me. Yes, sir, no, sir, and that's it. No talk back. You talk back, you get smacked in the mouth. That's the environment that I was raised in. So that was how my brothers. My brothers were like the black sheep. They were up to no good. My brothers were in and out of jail, incarcerated, whatnot. So I was like kind of like the spoiled kid, the golden child. Graduated high school and went out to do bigger, better things. So that was my childhood, man. I lived in Houston. We call it Aldine Route, but we call it Aldine Jail Route because that's the street that the cops always pull you over on.
Where you got those 5 tickets?
Yeah.
Yo, so they say the Marines we're athletes, right? We're paid athletes. Were you like an athlete growing up? Did you play any sports?
I was in high school. I did a soccer, and then my junior and senior year I did cross country.
Oh wow!
I ran. Yeah, I was playing soccer. Well, I was actually like doing for PE, I had just changed schools, and we were doing PE, and we did we were running like a half a mile, and I was running. I smoke checked everybody, and then that same day, the coach was like, the cross country coach came over. Hey, you want to come join it? I was like, what's cross country? Like, where am I gonna travel somewhere? He's like, because remember, I'm Mexican, upbringing. I don't know a lot about. And by this time, we had moved to a more like a suburb area, and I was like, okay, and then that was just straight running, man, running miles and miles and miles to the forest, the trails, whatever, and doing competition. So a lot of running was what became my passion. And even though I was never a fast runner in the Marines, I never did 18s or so, whatever. I was more like long distance, just run, and then run back.
Right.
Yep, that was it. I love running.
It's so crazy because I saw cross country in high school. I don't know. I saw that they did I remember one time they did it was like a 6-mile warm up. I was like,
warm up.
Y'all got me all the way messed up. I'm not warming up with 6-0. You know what I'm saying? You might get 2 laps out of me. After that, I'm gonna do a quick dynamic stretch, and that's it. But those guys were.
Yeah, but in high school, I was like 170. I was. You probably where you play football. Where'd you play?
I did mostly basketball. I did track as well.
Yeah,
and I did football a little bit.
All that impact. I'm Mexican, bro. I'm like 5'10" on weigh-ins, 5'9" on a regular day. So it's one of those things like
on weigh like this.
Yeah, you try to stand tall, like it's one of those things like it's on your bone structure. All the little cross country guys are tiny, they're like little feathers running around. But yeah, man, cross country is what I did, and a little bit of soccer, obviously typical Mexican soccer.
Nah, don't do that. Don't do that.
No.
No, so did that ever take you anywhere? Do you ever go compete? Do you ever go to state?
No, I didn't. We played some divisions like that, but when I went to the Marines, I pretty much played for every base. Even when I was a hat, and I was like I think a J or a Chief. We played off season, on our not quota, but during our break.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Played in Japan. I played in pretty much. I've never made all Marine team, but I played in a lot of bases growing up in the Marines. I would try it out and play for the base team, whatever, but nothing with the all Marine Corps team. Nothing crazy like that. It was party on that team, but no, I played. No, but nothing crazy like competitive or championships, whatever. Just for fun.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's it seems like a lot of people that have a lot of structure in their life, especially after getting out of the military, where you're not necessarily required to do it. It's more so of if you do it, you do it. Obviously, playing a team sport, it kind of helps. It has that structure, which a lot of people actually benefit from, throughout their life. And so that's why I just kind of figured you play sports, just because I've seen how structured you are with everything. I see how of a militant type mindset on the things that you do on a day-to-day basis, just from how you handle normal things. And it's I observe people a lot. I observe, I try to figure out why they're doing things the way they're doing it, or try to see how it benefits, or how can I utilize their tactics to benefit. Look at, I'm using tactics as a how how I use their tactics to benefit me as well. And it was always interesting with you because I felt like you always had a out of the box type mindset, and it helped me to improve my different way of thinking, expand my way of thinking.
Yeah, I mean, you have to, and and a lot of, and I don't know how I came about. My mom, she always told me that she knew I was going to go in the military, even as a little kid, the way I organized my clothes and how disciplined I was at a young age. I mean, it just doesn't, I mean, it's unexplainable. Like, she tells me, I'm like, wow, okay. But I always said, the army, but she knew I was going to be some type of soldier, whatever. I mean, like I said, I grew up with Mexican parents. I knew I was going to go to college. I knew I wasn't going to get a scholarship. Yeah, there was, growing up in the 90s, as a kid, like, there's no way like college ever crossed my mind. Like I didn't know what that was. All I was worried about, my brother, my oldest brother got his GED, my other brother he dropped out 7th grade. So school was not that, like, my parents make you go to school. And then, like, for me, like, going to school and just passing, my parents were happy. They never asked for report. They just made sure, hey, I was passing, I was fine. Graduated, like, okay, well, what are you gonna do now? And okay, we're military. And then, so when I was 17, so my mom had to sign. And when I talk to you, now as you're older, now I'll be 41 in March. I talk more to my mom now. We talk a lot, because when you serve 20 years in the Marines, you distance yourself from your family. You don't see them every day. You don't live with them, whatever. So you get out, you're like kind of playing catch up.
Right.
So anyways, I asked her, and she's like, well, I didn't want to be that person to hold you back. If I would have not signed your paperwork and you would have became like your brothers, you would have told me, hey, well, Mom, if you would let me go to the military, I probably wouldn't have turned out like this. She's like, it's one of those things like, hey, if you want to do that, okay, I'll sign off. Go try it. If you do it, make it good, okay. But I don't want to be the one to not let you, try it out per se. She's like, go for it. If it's good for you, go for it. If it's not, then at least you tried it, and I didn't hold you back. So, and that's kind of the same perspective I use with people that I talk to, and they'd be like, well, my son was thinking about it, but I don't know, and calm. And I was like, I'm gonna tell you what my mom told me. If you tell him no and you don't let him go, or you're not about it, and he ends up being something like bad in life, he might throw it in your face and say, well, if you would let me go to the military like I wanted to, I probably wanted to like this. And she was like, I never thought about that. I was, yeah, because you think you know what's best for your kid, but you don't let him trip, pick himself up, dust off, and keep going. You're the helicopter parent, I was like, and believe me, and we'll get into it. I am by far a helicopter. My kids, nobody cares. You can ask them, and my kids, their friends crying. Their friends are crying like, why are you crying? Nobody cares. I'm like, Nico, you can't say that to the kids. Like, this is, I was like, well, Dad, why did you tell them to turn the waterworks off? I'm like, oh, because I tell them the Marine Corps innuendos, man, and we'll get to it. But yeah, no, I am not that parent. With 3 boys, you can't, man. You can't.
See, I try to explain that to people too, because like I'll see you'll see some kid running, they're like, they're going, and then all of a sudden they trip and they start crying. And your parents are like, oh, no, little Tommy, Jonathan. He's like, are you okay? Oh.
Nope.
I'm like, dude, they fell. The more attention you give them when that happens, and the more you start panicking and you start tripping like that, that's when they do it. If you notice, most kids, when they fall and they're not hurt, they hesitate at first. They go,
they wait.
And then they see you doing it, and they go, ah.
Yep. No, man, for me, like with my first boy, whatever, it was different because you're your first time being a dad. You're like,
it is. Oh, it is different.
It is like, that's it. After that, the second one, man, you done dropped the first one. The other one almost drowned in the bathtub. I mean, you went all through close calls. So like, oh no, you're fine. It's not even full water. You're not gonna drown next. You go do your thing. So it's like you kind of learn from the first one. And now with my third one, man, he's gonna be tough.
Yeah.
Like, he can be doing whatever. I was like, no, you're right, man. My kids, they'll fall. Whatever. I'm like, are you bleeding? You're walking, so you're not broken. Crying. What's that gonna do for you? What's that gonna do for you? Crying. Keep crying. Let me know when you're done.
Yep.
Okay, are you done crying? Do you feel better? No. Okay, then. So why do you cry? let it go. Keep everybody's gonna watch you, like you're just embarrassing yourself.
Everybody's gonna watch you.
It's like a tough mentality, but I mean, it's just it lets them know right off the bat, like, because I tell them, look at me, growing up, I cried a lot when I was little, and I'm not one to deny that. I was a spoiled kid. I was like 60 years old, 17 years old. My dad, I was want to borrow the truck. My dad was saying, I'll start crying until he let me borrow the truck to go out that night, whatever. And so look at me, go, Daddy did it. He did it, and it got him nowhere. Dad, Grandpa was still mean. It does nothing for you, but just make you look dumb. So okay, I get it. You're crying. Okay, get over it. Let's go. Turn the waterworks off. Let's keep going.
The waterworks off.
Yes.
You know, I kind of got told that I'm not sensitive enough, and this isn't like something I'm bragging about, but you know, as Marines and especially as drill instructors, I mean, you see recruits crying, you see them like acting like they're in pain when they're getting IT, like, and you're just the whole time you're just like,
yeah, no, man, and that's totally
and some things that we probably can't speak about that we've seen, that it's just like,
yeah. No, I went through it, and I think being with my wife for 10 years, she seen me go through a lot of hardship. You know, I think when I was a J and at the depot in San Diego, we had literally just got done with the crucible, and we're coming back, and we're practicing the march on for the J's, whatever, for the guidance like that.
right.
And my third hat, which was RC at the time, Master RC, just retired chief. He was like,
oh, I love him, man.
He took over because that my sister, she was in a coma. She got in a coma, and I had to fly home, and during that time, and passing away, and I was like, I got there, I saw her all intubated, whatever, and she ended up passing, but I didn't cry. And I know my mom, my family was, torn.
I'm sorry to hear that, brother. I did not know that, man.
Yeah, and I was like, one of those things, like, okay, like, to this day, I haven't cried, but I was like, in my mindset, like, and it's not that I want to be tough or going harder, but I've always lived up to and I was always her, like, a role model. Like, I never did drugs, never, was in the Marines. She bragged about me, her kids, whatever, all this stuff. Like, I never set the bad example, and I never did nothing bad to her, and vice versa. So we were like in good terms. She left okay. She was fine. So it wasn't like I'm crying because, I miss you. I wish I had one more day for you to forgive me. Whatever. Like, it's God's will. You can't. When it's her time to go, she left. She left. But I didn't. And then when Dad passed a couple months ago, like same thing. I went, which is another story. But I was like, I went, saw him, did my thing, and got his belongings, and I saw him there laying in bed, and I'm like, all right, pops, I got it. Did an about phase, and 2 minutes later I was out that room, and that was it. Went home, told my moms, and I was like, my mom's like, it's okay, you cry. And I was like, Mom,
that's what people always tell me. Like, they want me to cry. I'm like, why do you need to see? Like, does it make you feel better to see me cry or something?
The second, my wife said, like, you're heartless. I'm like, my dad was a phenomenal parent. He was very strict, but I learned a lot, and it was like, we were good. Like, my dad literally I took my dad to the hospital when the whole COVID thing happened. And I literally had to pick him off of his wheelchair, put him in my big old truck, then take him out, take him in the ER. And during these times, you literally dropped him off at the ER. You couldn't go in the hospital.
Right.
Went straight to the ICU and didn't see him for like 2 weeks later. And then the third week he passed. And I was like, one of those things, like, you just like, what's gonna happen. And when I got that phone call, the doc called me. He's like, hey, we're trying to do a CPR or whatever. I'm like, hey, doc, call it. It's been 30 minutes. You guys, I know you're supposed to do it for like 17 minutes, whatever. You gotta try to just call the doc. I'll be there when I can. Like, all right. And they called or whatever, went on and everything. But it's one of those things, like, I think the Marine Corps does play a part, and everything you do, combat, the drill field, they kind of gets ready for situations like that, to be prepared for those stuff. And somebody's got to step up and take care of everything, the funeral details, and have to be there for the families, like that. And maybe maybe next month or next week, I might just bawl out and cry a lot. But when it happens, it happens. But I'm not gonna force myself, or just so people can be like, oh, okay, he's good now, he's crying.
Hey.
Yeah, right. So yeah, but you're right, man. It's hard. Sometimes it makes you tough.
Yeah, and just like how you said, it's not that we're trying to be tough, and I'm not saying that I'm on the same level as you or you're on the same level as me when it comes to this, because there's it's not something necessary to brag about. It's just how you compute things, you know, like I remember when I was young, I was in like second grade, and my dad gave me a note to give to my teacher. He's like, hey, you need to give your teacher this note because you have a funeral to go to. She needs to know that you're going to be early release. And I never gave her the note because I wanted to play tetherball instead of, you know, go to a funeral. I still remember, I can still visualize the exact tetherball court that I was on in second grade. And my dad coming up to me at recess, and I'm just sitting there
going at it.
You know what I'm saying? Playing tetherball. And then, you know, we end up going to my my uncle's funeral. And I only seen him like a couple times, but I still remember being in his apartment, exactly like the same toys and everything. And that was the first open casket that I seen in my life. And I was like smiling, and when I look back, it was like weird. Like I was almost like laughing. I don't know if I was like trying to counter the whole. I mean, I was in second grade. Like I don't know what the hell to think. You know what I'm saying? And I still remember like laughing. Everybody's like looking at me like everybody's bawling. I'm over here like laughing. So I don't know. You know, everybody reacts to things different. I mean, I've seen death throughout my life many more times. Mm-hmm. I just never really cried about it, you know, violence, fighting, like damn near death, and it's just, I don't know.
We express and we bend differently than other people, you know. It's on your own, you know how you do it. But yeah.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. But like I said, I get told all the time about the whole sensitivity thing, and you know, sometimes I don't know whether to believe that people are right or more so that there's just a small group of people that think that I'm wrong, but either way. But man, those are definitely like some tragic events, and you know, just like how you said, like you take something that would be negative to somebody else, and you find a way to make it positive, like in a sense of like, well, hey, why would I be upset? Because we didn't have issues. Not only that, but I know what their expectations of me were. So, and I've seen that personally through from you being on the drill field, from the people that I knew that spoke about you, what they would say, and whether they liked you or not. I was more concerned with like, what information were they going off of? And it was those intangible things that you instilled into them that whether they didn't like you or not were very important traits to have, you know. And we all go through our experience. I hated a lot of my experience on the drill field, but there were some people that were really invested into making me better. Mm-hmm. And at the time, it's like, I can't stand this. I can't stand them.
Oh man, like I remember when before I even went in, man, I was in Fallujah, and my master sergeant, he was a former hat, you know, and then the regimental sergeant major out there in RCT 1. The Regional Command Team 1, he was a sergeant. They would come on like, you know, stats on wants to go to the drill field, whatever. And man, they would tell these stories. I mean, these guys are old folks, you know, they had gone. It's like, and my master was like, hey, look, if you ever think about when you're driving to a drill field and you're driving your car and you're like, if I hit this side good, I won't kill myself, but I'll still go like to the ER and you're like 2 days rest, then you know you've been busting your butt in the drill field. If you think every morning going to work, like, you know, if I just run my car into the guardrail, but I don't hurt myself too much, I might get a day off and be able to sleep. Then you know, and I was like, man, these people are crazy. And what happened, man? I'm like, I get to the drill field, my Bobby cycle, my loss in the saws. I'm like, and then back, you know, we didn't get a day off to initial drilling. And like, you go in the next morning and like, if I just hit it right, or if I just hit this, and ambulance comes, like, you know, I might get a day off. Like, man, that is so true, man. Like many times I sat in the parking lot and I was like, if I just grab my war bag and I just sit, and just take my war bag, sit on the bench, and just tell the chief, first one, I don't want to do this no more. I don't want to do it no more. Like but it always came back to, you know, all your Marines back in the fleet, they looked up to you and say, you're going to do great things. They wanted to be DIs, whatever your master. Like, there's no way you go back and tell them, hey, you know, I quit. You know, it's just that it was always like, you know, But that's when you knew, like, in retrospect, that you were slaying yourself because you were like, you were hurt, like you didn't want to be there. Because I mean, it was, we talk about getting slayed, you know, like, and I mean, we're not gonna say old school or whatever. There's different ways, but
Right.
like, hey, slay yourself so nobody else can slay you, and you'll be fine. But I mean, games were played. There were definitely, I went during that time where at one time one of my cycles, my senior was a sergeant, and you know, it's the time where like the senior could be a sergeant. Like a
Yep.
J was a staff sergeant, and you know, you could, a J could be a senior could be a sergeant of rank and still have like staff NCOs, you know, green belts.
Yep.
And they one cycle that, and after that, it went, they got rid of that because freaking staff NCOs weren't didn't have the intestinal fortitude to tell the sergeant, hey, no, out there with the boys, I'll pump you up all day. And this duty guard, you gotta pray rest for me. Don't let that belt get to your head. So I had to do one or two things like that one time with one of my J's telling me I can't wear cufflinks because I'm a green belt. I was like, wait, he was a sergeant. I was like, what? Hold on, pump the brakes. Like, you're a sergeant. I'm a staff sergeant. I rate to wear cufflinks as a staff NCO. You're not gonna tell me I can't wear cufflinks because I'm a green belt. Like, no, homie, no. And I mean, I still did it, but it's like, it set the tone. Like, hey, out there, boys, your daddy, I'll pump you up all day. But in this duty hood, we ain't playing your little games. You know, you take that belt off, you're still a sergeant, I'm a staff sergeant, and we're gonna be fine. So, but so a lot of stuff isn't gonna do that. Last stuff NCOs would let themselves get slaved by, not slaved, but play games by, you know, senior sergeants. I don't know why, not this guy, but yeah, it was tough.
You know what makes me mad about that? And not to go on a tangent, because
I know we can be here all night talking about that trash.
But it just makes me mad that we do that to each other.
Yeah.
And you know how that, and we're gonna get to the transitioning part as well. But I've seen that throughout the transition from when you're in the Marine Corps, right? We preach all this brotherhood, sisterhood, and everything, and hell yeah. And then when you get out, or when there's an opportunity for you, and somebody has the ability to assist you, they're worried about them. Like I said, I don't want to make this too much negative, but there's, like, the other day, like, LeBron James retweeted. I know this is gonna sound weird, but I'll tie it in. LeBron James retweeted this tweet, and there's a group of guys that do all these skits that have to do with LeBron James, like different situations throughout the season. And he retweeted one of their tweets, like pretty much showing them love. Well, because of that, their entire foundation blew up. Like, it went viral. And I guess I say that to say this is, something as small as just a tweet can make all the difference in the world in someone's life. And there's a lot of people out there now, you know, active duty and veterans and all that, they have 200, 300, 400,000 followers or something like that. They figured the formula out, but they refuse to help other people.
Yeah.
But why? If you're preaching, you're in your videos with your uniform on, hoorah this and all those other things, but you're not practicing what you preach. You know what I'm saying? You're using the uniform to get what you want out of it, but you're not being what you say you're about.
Yep.
And that's what pisses me off, man. So I guess I tie that in with, like you said, on the drill field, right? There's sergeants that try to treat staff NCOs like crap for whatever. It shouldn't even come to the point to where anybody should have to be checked. There's not one person on that depot that can ever say I treated them any different than I treated myself. Mm-hmm. I never changed for anybody. You know what I'm saying? It's,
no, until this day, and a lot of it is immaturity, man. Like, you know, when you know you're I see the same thing with some veterans with all these, you know, thousands of followers, and you know, and whoever it may be. But it's just, I guess they rise to a level so fast that they forget about the little people. They forget, you know, they to them was like, boom, right time, right place. You know, they came during the boom. They're good now, but then somebody that's trying to make it, they feel like, and I deal with this all the time. And I think that's kind of one thing why, you know, I'm becoming a good realtor, is that, you know, there's enough for everybody. The pie is so big that
Thank you.
enough for everybody that you don't have to be so greedy and shiesty that you're trying to hold your whole thing. It's like, it's one of those things like, bro, shut up, love, you know, and then, you know, coming out the Marine Corps, you know, through my wife, you know, being more, you know, through Jesus Christ, and we're not going to go into Bible time, but I mean, you're blessed. You get blessed daily just by waking up. why not bless others? What's wrong with that? What's wrong by being like, if you're blessed, bless others. You know, it's like, what's, you know, are you that stuck in yourself that you just, it's with from what's in it for me? You know, that's a culture in the Marine Corps we have all the time. With from what's in it for me? Like,
Yep.
why do I go do this? That's not why. What's in it? Like, motherfuckers, I told you to do. You know, not
Yeah.
a day off. Like, am I gonna go home after work? Oh, it's a working party, mother sucker. You're gonna do it because you're a freaking PFC, and I did it as a PFC, and I'd do it now if I had to, but you're not doing anything. But it's like, what's in it for me? And it crosses over to the civilian sector. Like, you have no idea, man. That's something that, you know, we'll talk later, but it's just immaturity and right time, right place, and, you know, it's just they think that it's gonna go away, and they're just living in their bubble and they don't want to share it. So it's pretty bad, and I get that with what you're going. I see all the time on Facebook too, man. But I am by far that guy, man. I don't know if you ever seen my post. And my wife told me one day, like, I'll see people on Facebook and they'll put their open house or their share listing. Man, I hit like and share this stuff. Share. I share all, like, even on link. I share all this stuff, right? But it's like, no, you're sharing other roots. Like, maybe I don't care. They got an open house, and then she's like, well, okay, do you? And then I do something, and they share my stuff too, you know. And that's kind of where you see the realtors, the people that are kind of same mindset as you. Hey, bro, I'll share your stuff, not because I want you to share mine. I hope, you know, one of my friends sees this house and takes it off your hands and buys it from me. I'm not gonna ask you for a referral fee, but you share mine, that's fine. But I'm not gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna delete this person. I'm gonna take him on my friend list because he didn't share my post. No,
Right.
I see you post a house, you're hustling like I'm hustling. I'm gonna like it and share your post of trying to sell a house, and, you know, good luck to you, man. You know, there's way enough housing in Texas and people trying to buy that I'm gonna give my houses to. You know, I don't need to, you know, not like your post to try to get, you know, my house sold. Like, oh, man, I hope you do it, man. And they see that, man, like and that's how your brand becomes, you know, good and humble, because, hey, oh, I know Casas Cardenas. He's always liking my stuff. He's always sharing my stuff. Like, he's good. You know, he's not greedy with his stuff. So yeah, man, I see it. And it happens all the time.
You know what?
It's gotta be within you. You gotta be that type of person, and that's how I was raised, man. That's, you know, God bless. You know, like I said, I'm blessed. My wife, you know, she keeps me in check, and I do it daily, you know, because I don't want to be that guy.
No, you know what? I don't know. I think that's just always been something about me. I'm very transparent. I don't do politics like whatsoever. You never have to worry about what I'm thinking. I'm not gonna say one thing and then this. Yeah. I'm very easy to get a hold of. You know what I'm saying? Like, you always hear those people that say, hey, if you ever need anything, just, you know, all you gotta do is message or call. But then there's always a reason why they can't talk, or there's always a reason I can't be called out for that. You know, not to brag about what I've done, but I've helped so many people. So many people have messaged me. I've literally done virtual tours of my podcast setup to help people with podcasting, with YouTube videos, I taught them about editing, like hours of FaceTime tour, like everything I've known, show them the layout of anything that I can do to help. I've given fitness advice, like, to numerous people, things that I've eat, you know, you name it, anything that I can offer that fits for me. I've literally forwarded people to other veterans that do things that I don't necessarily have an expertise in, you know. And it's just crazy how, once again, some people show their true colors when it comes down for what can you do to help them, or what can they do to help you. It's like, how can you put the uniform on, say you're a Marine, you put all these passionate posts out there about, I give all this effort and this, that, or third, but you're not about what you talk about. You don't share people's stuff. You're in a position to do it. You don't put people on. You know what I'm saying? When's the last time you did anything for anybody? Everything's about what you're selling. Some product that you're selling. Oh, I got this coming out, which is great, but it's like, are you about the community or not? If not, take off the uniform in your posts, because that's not what we stand for.
Yep. Yeah, and I see your passion behind that, man. And I tell, like, and I'll tell you right now too, and you probably heard this quote before, but I tell people sometimes, you know, when they come vent to me, you know, because you know me, man, I'm blunt, and I say it like it is, you know, and I speak with this saying, you know.
I love it for it.
And I'm like, so you're venting to me about this one person, like, do they know your disagreement? Do they know you don't like them? Do you know you have something against them? He's like, well, no. I was like, look, man, I'm gonna tell you, like Nelson Mandela said it better. It's like you drinking the poison and hoping they die. When you think like that, when you hate somebody so much, but they don't know that you don't like them, that's exactly what you're doing. Like right now, we're talking about stuff. I hope that these people know, what you feel like, and hey, man, just so you know, like the way you act, the way you are, it's not kosher with me. It is what it is. That's how you are. Whatever. That's fine. Keep trucking, but don't expect anything from me in the near future or whatever. When I come back and I blow up like you're more, just remember that what you're doing now is not copacetic, whatever. Because if you don't tell people that, it's gonna eat you. You're drinking all that poison, but they're still living.
Right.
And some people don't know, man. Some people, that's just maybe the way they were raised. They were raised to be selfish. They were raised. If you don't
That's
call
crazy.
them, like they're like, you know what? I never knew that. Thanks for telling me. I know I did it with the first round blind. We were in the depot, man. We're at the OCS. Like everybody was hating on him, like because he was a drill master.
Right.
And I told him, hey boss, just to let you know, man. Everybody doesn't think I do a good job, whatever. But I got your back, man. Whatever you need, as a drill master, whatever, I got your back, because I was a company guy. I was like, whatever, if I can help you with whatever, just let me know. But just let you know, man, I got your back. And I know there's some people here, a lot of people here that they hate on you because you just got here, and the drill master OCS kind of coveted, and it's a step to get first on, kind of guarantee whatever. So
right.
He was good. He's like, man, thanks for telling me. Nobody has told me anything. Like everybody's doing their thing, but I didn't think, that I thought everybody was like, man, I'm just letting you know, man. Do I think the same way? Yeah, I think you shouldn't have gotten it, but guess what? I'm over it. I got your back. That's how I feel. But whatever you need, whatever, I got your back. But just to tell you, a lot of us think that you shouldn't have gotten it. Somebody should have gotten it. But hey, I said my piece. What do you need from me now? How can I make you successful? Because I gained nothing from you not succeeded as a first arm, as a
Thank you.
So let me help you to succeed instead not make you unsuccessful. And he told me, like, man, thanks, bro. And then when I got in trouble, whatever, then they came back. Him, you, like with the few Stefan Seals, Sanchez, that actually were there. Hey, man, what you need, whatever, we got your back. We're like, aside from whatever happened, like, hey, what's up, man? I got you. You're still real, whatever. And that's when I think the real colors of my friends came out. That's when I saw who was really, really who was really my friend, my true brother as a Marine when I got in trouble. So it's like, but yeah, no, he was my neighbor too. So, we're still on Facebook, go back and forth on some stuff there. But no, he was real talk, and I was real talk to him. But I mean, you never know when it's gonna be your turn, and they gotta be there to real talk you and hook you up with some love every now and then. So yeah, real talk, man.
Dude, that's a great point as well. I definitely don't try to dwell, but I'm also not perfect either. Yeah. So sometimes, you naturally kind of do that. I try to only focus on those that, are trying to be where I'm at, try to be where I want to be, people that can help along the way and people that can help me along the way. Every once in a while you start to think about it. It's like, just like that tweet, that honestly, that one tweet, I'm going to remember forever that I was telling you about from LeBron James. Yep. Something so small and it's free, and it literally, how long does it take to retweet something and put a comment? A minute, if that. In 1 minute, your whole life can be changed. 1 minute. Yep. Think about how many people have the opportunity to do that and don't. And it doesn't have to be at his level, right? Even us. I'm sure I passed up on some, opportunities that had I done this, the result would have been that. And just the thought of that, it bothers me. Like, if there's something I can do, but I'm choosing not to do it, I'm just as guilty. Yep. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this podcast. One of the reasons why I wanted to add on the whole Ask a Vet. One of the reasons why I wanted to do fitness videos in the first place is because I kept repeating myself to people. Every corporate course class, I was saying the same thing. So I was like, man, let me make a video so I can say, just go watch that video. You know what I'm saying? Yep. And no, that's awesome. So, it was so far as, hey, I love it, man. You spoke about your time deployed. talk about like some of the experiences that you went through while you're in, from drill field to deployments, to the people that you met. Well, what about that whole transition period? I'm assuming you didn't try to become a realtor before you got out, right? There was never a thought of that.
Oh man, that never crossed my mind. I mean, if I could, I did it all. Let me say, I don't want to say by myself, but we can go back to thinking outside the box. That's what really, and then, being in my command, having like being at academics, my last year, whatever, was that the mass arm allowed me to, check in, call in, or come in for like Sulis, whatever. Like I wasn't expected to be every day. He said, "Hey man, you're retiring in a couple of months. Go do you." So yeah, man, I was able to do my transition, my TRS, like 10 months out.
Right.
You learn a lot from that TRS. And when I was in Virginia, I was doing job fairs.
Right.
And some of the good advice I got was like, hey, go to job fairs. Even though you're not going to stay here in Virginia, go to job fairs and mess up. Get that out of the way. Go do your elevator speech. Do your resumes. Who cares if you don't get hired, or they say, okay, your speech sucks, or you're not dressed correctly. At least you're doing it right now here, where you're not gonna get a job. You're learning. So I was in Virginia and DC. I was doing job fairs. I went to one where General Petraeus was there. Network, man, a lot of people, whatever. But it's one of those things like I messed up a bunch. My resume was like whatever, thrown to the side. I was given a lot of advice, and little by little, I started building my resume. I started speaking the civilian language. I started seeing how they acted. I started, kind of letting my hair grow a little bit. I seen how they dressed. I saw their mannerism. I started seeing all that stuff as a civilian before I got out.
Right.
A lot of people wait, they retire, and then they go to job fairs, and their job and back at their house, and that job might be the one they wanted, but they've never attended a job fair. They don't know how to approach. They don't have the elevator speech ready. They don't know how. So if somebody takes your resume and they fold it up in half and they put it in their pocket, that they're interested. And they just take it and put it to the side, like, okay, whatever, next. I mean, there's certain little innuendos that people do to kind of give you like, hey, or how to sell yourself from somebody else, like the line behind you, that they all want to get that Boeing or that job, that very, very six-figure job. So I did that. And then another thing, and it's funny, but I did Uber my last 3 months in the Marines. I was doing my PTAT, whatever. But I did Uber. I was Ubering because my wife had came to Texas with the kids, and so I was doing Uber. And believe it or not, man, it was such a great tool. When I told one of my mentors from a vets here that I got a job from, they were like, "How did you do it?" I was like, "Well, when you Uber, man,
you meet everybody.
You meet every walks of life. I mean, and there's mostly civilians, and then they're like, they talk to you. I mean, I met politicians, I met COs, CFOs. I mean, I was meeting lawyers, but it was like they were back in my car. I would talk to them, and they always, at first, they knew you were military, because of the way you talk.
Yeah.
The more I progressed towards the end of my Uber stay, whatever, it's like I had to tell them I was going to retire because they couldn't tell that I was a Marine because I changed my way of talking.
Right.
And another thing that I got too, from being an Uber driver, was that I stopped judging people. Somebody was getting back in my car, and I'm like, oh, he's a loser, whatever.
He ain't gonna tip.
He's young, he ain't nothing, whatever.
Wow.
Talk to him, and this guy literally looked like a bum, beer, whatever. Well, come to find out, man, this guy was like a freaking reputable lawyer there in DC, whatever. But since I judged before talking to him, in my mind, I was like, whatever. But I was like, damn, this guy's good. Or somebody come in your car, and then they're like some CF4s. I'm like, what? They're looking like, it allowed me to know, hey, when you transition out, shut up, see who they are first, whatever. Don't judge right away, because you might be surprised at why you in the Marine guys, not everybody's high and tie, rank on their collar, whatever. Some people, they're like rocket scientists, but you will never guess it until you get to know them. they could be your boss, you know, they could be, you know, like young guys that's your boss. So that's how I transition, you know, going to job fairs and doing Uber and just adapting, man, just trying to be that chameleon where, like, you know what, okay, I got shut on the door. I was like, okay, well, I'm getting out for sure. How do I succeed in the next level? How do I make this transition smooth? And how do I succeed at it? How do I, you know, make sure that I'm going to be successful again? And yeah, man, I came back. I hooked up with the veteran organization, Texas Vets, and the vet ops, and I was like, phenomenal, man. They helped me with my resume. I went and talked to them, but, you know, as always, you know, I was like, my resume was okay, but I was like I was trying to go like Texas here to Houston. They got a bunch of oil industry, you know, and
okay.
I was like, well, you know, maybe I, you know, go in the oil industry. But my wife was the one that looked. She told me, you're gonna have weekends off. You're not gonna travel. You're not working nights. Time 9 to 5. I'm like, she's like, you're done with that. You're done deploying. You're done drill field. Because she went through the whole drill field, OCS, everything. She's like, there's no way you got out the Marines to do the same thing as a civilian. I was like, I'm not having it. So I was like, yes, ma'am. So to try to get that job, it was difficult, you know. So I mean, and I think the best, and kudos to her, when I retired, her wings just opened up, man. Like she wanted to do so much as a person, but the Marine Corps didn't let her, and as a spouse didn't let her because she was always, you know, with the kids with her.
Right.
We got to Texas, and I retired, man. She started doing the Mary Kay, Southern Mary Kay, you know, she started doing Thrive. And then I was like, go for it. You know, she'd have a bunch of people in my house and doing like a little beauty thing. And I'd be with the kids in the back, all the ladies' kids in the balance with her, just babysitting pretty much everybody's kids while she's doing her, you know, getting her money.
Right.
And I was always, until this day, I've always been at her husband, like, you know what? Yeah, baby, go for it. I got your back. Let's do it. Whatever, go for it. Let's do it. Because the same thing goes,
dope, man.
It goes back to like my mom, you know, I'm not going to be the guy to tell you, no, you're not doing this. And then 2 years later, we're broke. And like my wife, like, well, if you would let me know Mary Kay, whatever, we probably would have a lot of money right now, but you said no. So whatever, I could have my pink Cadillac. So I've never been.
My pink Cadillac.
I've never been. That's how I became a realtor, man. She did Mary Kay, Thrive, and she went to school here and she started killing it. She was like, and in that time I had a second job as a builder, building houses here, you know, construction. And I was like, it was fun, man, but it was like at the point I was like, it was too easy. It was too easy. I mean, I was out there slinging trays. It was like a bunch of little green belts out there. You know, most of them were like, they were Hispanics and they didn't know English. And I was bilingual. And the other builders that had been here for years, they didn't communicate with them. And I'm like, dude, it's not that hard. I was like, yeah, but you know Spanish. Like, well, yeah, that sucks. I can't help you there. But I fed them. I talked to them. I mentored like the tradesmen, like I taught them Spanish, told them my background, how I came up. My parents were immigrants. And I told them, hey, you know, it's maybe not for you, but for your kids, you know, it's possible, you know. And I talked, and my houses got built faster. They got built correctly. They were always there because, and I told them, like, dude, what do you do? I said, first of all, I treat them with respect and dignity. I feed them. And if I get a bonus for building this house faster, I go give them a gift card for Christmas. I go ask about their kids. So they understand they're not just a piece of tool to build a house, that they actually get recognized, that you know who they are.
Right.
So I never thought about that. Well, you know, that's you get paid and you forget about them. And then when you want them to come fix some issue with the house that got built and they ignore you for a week, I wonder why, man, because you only need them you only call them when you need them.
Right.
Like, okay, so I was running circles around them, man. I got to a point where like I was pretty much working from home because it was so easy. My house was already built, getting paid as well. I was like, but I wasn't that. I mean, I could have still been doing it, making good money. But I was like, I told her, I can't. Like this is true. I need something. And when I quit, I told my boss, hey man, I'm bored.
Yeah, I don't have a challenge. I'm not challenged.
Yeah, you guys exactly. Like I need to be challenged. He's like, and then they told the owner of Western Homes that, hey, you know, we want to make him, you know, next up. And they're like, well, you know, I kind of want to wait for him to be like a year as a builder. And like this guy is like, yeah, well, and that was his thing. That I had been at this job for a year before I can hire. And I was like, hey, boss, I told him, I still talk to him. I was like, you know what? You know, that's it, man. You know, it is what it is. I'm just gonna leave. You know, my 2 week notice, whatever. if that's how he operates, then that's it, man. I'm not gonna sit around here and wait my turn or wait till the 1 year to get promoted or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
you know, and they like me. I mean, the company's still striving, whatever. You know, they kicked out a bunch of people and fired them. But I was like, hey, dude, if you apply, they'll hire you in a spot. I was like, man, that chapter's closed. You know, now I'm over here. I'm doing my thing. It's like I'm not that type of guy to go back and work in just the same job again. I already did that. Didn't challenge me. Nope. He lost the opportunity. So yeah. And then my wife did the realtor thing, and I said, okay, why not? I got my realtor license, and it took a minute, but now, man, it's picking up. It's really, really good right now.
That's good. I love to hear these type of stories, you know, because not only did you just speak about your successes, you kind of spoke a little bit about the struggles as well. And I think the struggles relates to a lot of people. Like even with myself, especially when I first started doing a lot of the things that I was doing, is there was a lot of struggles. I didn't know how to do any of this stuff. And I know there's a lot of people that are out there right now that are either transitioning or they've already made the decision that they're getting out of, you know, the military or whatever it is that they're doing. And now they're struggling to think about what it is that they want to do and figuring out their path and how they're going to get to that point. So I know there's going to be a lot of people that resonate to your story on both ends of the success and the, you know, the parts where people struggle. And not only that, but what you're saying is you're showing people that it's okay to struggle. That by you struggling doesn't mean you failed. Only when you stop, that means, you know, you failed. As long as you keep going.
They and this is what I tell like a lot of veterans I meet, whatever. And now I'm like a big advocate, man. When I meet a veteran, I tell them, "Are you disabled?" They're like, "No." Like, why not? Have you done your disability? No. Why not? Did you serve? Like, yeah. Well, how much? Like, dude, it's so easy. It's so easy to just go on. My thing is that it's okay not to know what you're gonna do when you get out, because you get so wrapped up in getting a job. And I tell vets, like, it's not about getting that job right away, because it defeats the purpose of to get a job if you're not going to be happy. You just did that for 10, 15, 20 years. You were stuck. You were stuck. You re-enlisted for whatever reason. Now that you have the opportunity to, get a job that you want, whatever, be patient. Is it going to suck yet? Are you going to probably not fight? But the one thing the military teaches you is you're not going to fail. You're not gonna fail. Like, the body won't fail you until the mind gives you. The mind wants to do it, the body will keep going. It's one thing, like, if you find a job, like, okay, next, whatever, it's okay to be broke for a week, whatever. I know it sucks because in the military, you got person 15, you got your buddy, you got your network. But one thing the military does for you is that they give you that work ethic, they give you that grit that you can't get as a civilian. They know no matter what you do, whatever, that you're gonna succeed. Because now it's not your DNA as a former vet to fail. And they want I was the same big. I wanted to get in and get this perfect job and do this. I'm a vet, 20-year retired Marine, combat vet, whatever. Bro, I heard it best from one of my Lieutenant Colonel Riley from 3rd Battalion.
Hey, big shout out to Lieutenant Colonel Riley.
Oh man, he was a man. He was the one that helped me with my resume. This guy, he's up there working for for big old company in New York, whatever. But he's legit. He's a real deal Holyfield, man. That guy, he hit me. I hit him up when I retired. I sent him my resume. Did a whole schedule. I mean, Colonel type. He called me up. He read the hell out of my resume. I was like, man, killing me. But no, he did that stuff, and I was like, we talked to Lewis. He's like, and it was weird him calling my friend. I still call him sir to this day. Yeah. I was like, hey, he's like, look, Lewis, when you get out, nobody cares, what you did in the Marines. All you're gonna do is get a pat on the back and a beer on veterans and say thank you for your service. That's it. That is all. You can't rest on your laurels. You can't rest on what you did, because the civilians don't care. They didn't live it. They weren't military. They don't know what 90% of your stuff means on your resume that you put on there about combat tours and BAMSs and SMEAC. They're like, don't think about that. It's like,
I used to run the DAG.
Like a J, EDI, Bobby, like what? Like, all they care is how can you make this successful? How can you make that company money? How can you be an asset to that company? That's all they care about.
Right.
Yeah, they thank you for your service. That's fine, but they don't care what you did. They that it's admirable. Okay, so next, I got 20 more vets that are the same way like you. What makes you different from them? And I mean, no doubt, man. Like you go back talking about who's got your back, and I can count with a couple of people, like, and it's sad, man. And but the officers, they come through, man. Like, and it you can reach out to them, be like, hey, sir, they'll get you a letter of recommendation, they'll look at your resume, they'll pump you on LinkedIn. Like, it's one of those things. Like, I don't know why, but every time I reached out, my officers have come through. Big shout out to Major Spicer. We were in OCS together, and she's a big old lawyer up in DC and stuff like that. And when I got in trouble, she's like, look, Lewis, no, in the Marine Corps, nobody. What she told me? She's like, the Marine Corps, nobody cares. She said it best. She's like, no, the Marine Corps will never love you back. So it's like, no matter what, you can love the Marine Corps so much and be a moto and gun ho, but something happened, whatever, it will never love you back. Move on and next. And that's what kind of got me over that stump. You know what? She's right. You can love this person, but they don't love you back. But she's like, the Marine Corps would never love you back. And it resonates in the whole big perspective, but it makes sense, man. I retired. So what? The Marine Corps still kept going. It doesn't have to love me back to keep functioning. It doesn't need me as part of the organization to keep going. So, and once you detach from that, once you understand that it was a 20-year job and you learned a lot, whatever, and you're gonna be okay, then you'll start succeeding, man. And I got into, but you have to read. Like when I was transitioning, I read the book, The Art of Negotiation by this FBI investigator, and Lieutenant Colonel Riley, he recommended me a couple of books, What Color Is Your Parachute? Like, you have to read as a veteran. Before you transition you have to read. You have to read about, how to negotiate, how to do interviews, how to, dress for a job. Like, the more you read, the more it's gonna help you, when you retire, you get the Marine Corps, like, or the military. Okay, I see what they're talking about. Like, and then it can be nothing about, the art of negotiation is just a bunch of stories about how he did ransoms like that, but he gives you tips on how to read what your body language does, how to convince somebody to say yes to something you wanted, but make them feel like they're the ones offering it to you. But I'm a motivated dude. I listen to the hip hop preacher,
E. Thomas.
Oh,
Eric Thomas
is my man.
Oh, stop it! That's my dude.
Every morning, I wake up. The other day, Moody posted like 4:20, my job, whatever. I was like, girl, it doesn't change. Like, I wake up at 4:35 on my own and just get out of bed, and I come to my office and I put on some ET, and he's like, man, like he is a motivator. And I'm reading his book right now, man. And the way, high school dropout, his story and everything like that, man, you want to hear a motivator, that guy is like, he gives me chills. Like, he gets me going in the morning. I put him on, and I can't put him too loud because my boys are next door, but I'm like, I get him on YouTube, man. I subscribe to him, and he's like, these stories, other stuff he goes around, man. He's just, the stuff he shares, I'm like, and that's one thing I took from him, and I never say it's mine, but it's like, whenever you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, then you're gonna do it. Until then, don't come at me, man. Like, he's got the whole story with that guru guy that's
in the water. Yeah. Oh.
I was like, that makes so much sense, man. Like, he's got, and he's all about Christ and everything like that too. And he follows Jesus and he's a good Christian. But I was like, he's right, man. Like, in his book, he's talking about how to choose your friends. Friends are a matter of life and death. Like, and Denzel Washington said it too. You hang around a bunch of drug dealers, you're gonna be a drug dealer. You hang around about this. If you hang around and you associate with millionaires, you're gonna be a millionaire. Like, it's all about your network and what you do. You can, they bring you down, man. So that's another rabbit hole. But E.T.'s my man. If I listen to him at least once, twice a day, I'm not having a good day. But he's a motivator by far. Shout out to E.T.
What's crazy is, like, I was telling someone the other day, because it was like some of the people that were saying that, you need to practice empathy and sympathy a little bit more often, or being a little bit more, in the whole, like, feelings thing is, and it made me really think of the people that I listen to. And, I listen to E.T., and the type of person he is, he's like, there's no excuse. And I always tell myself that, whether I do something good or whether I do something bad, I'm like, get up, stop making excuses, and go do it. So I was like, all right, who else do I listen to? Well, there's this, I don't know if a lot of people know him, but there's this dude named Wes Watson. And he served 10 years in prison. Big ripped white dude, veins everywhere, whatever. And, you know, he kind of takes that whole concept of serving time in jail, talks about all the bad things that he did, but he flips it and he tells people, you don't want to go through that whole life. The dude is he's probably one of the most intense people I've ever, it's so crazy. And the third person that I listen to the most is Gary Vee. And once again, that's something that that resonates to me is he has the whole empathy side of things that tends to promote, but then he also tells you, if you're not succeeding in this time where attention is the easiest to gain, and you suck. And he'll say that, you suck.
Yep.
But let me help you to get to where you want to be. Doesn't mean you have to quit. He tells his story, so.
Yeah, no, and like, I've met a lot of people, man, they're like, they see me, we're blessed, man. I'm not gonna say we're broke and stuff like that, but, I did my time and I get to, live off my fruits of my labor or whatever, but I'm like, they're like, because I start school tomorrow, I'm taking 4 classes. I'm doing the realtor thing.
Yeah.
I got my boys, I'm doing my hustle, and they're like, oh my God, like, how do you do it? I was like, well, when do you go to sleep? They're like, like 9 or 10. Like, what time do you wake up? Like 7. Like, so you get more than 8 hours sleep? Like, yeah. Well, that's your problem. You're sleeping too much.
Yeah.
All I need is, I don't have enough time in the day. Like, if I sleep 4 hours, 5 hours, I'm up. I'm doing something on my computer. I'm drinking my coffee. I'm doing school, whatever. It's like, I don't have enough time in the day. Like, that's your problem. Your sleep is your priority. I was like, I'll sleep. When I die, I'll sleep. I was like, right now I have so many goals, so much stuff I want to accomplish, so much stuff I want to, brand my name. Like, that's my goal. Like, I go to sleep thinking about stuff, and my wife hates me because she's like, what are you doing? Like, what time are you coming to bed? Like, she's hitting me up right now. And I'm like, what am I going to do? Like, so I'm going to sit there and just look at the darkness and just think about a bunch of stuff when I can just be in my office doing it. So I kind of figured out now, like, I usually go to bed with her and kind of scratch her back, whatever, and then she'll fall asleep. And I kind of slime out the bed and kind of like low crawl out, and I just kind of I close the door and I come to my office but then she'll give me, because she'll wake up like a typical freaking Marine. She'll wake up like at 2 a.m. She's like, she's drinking so much water. She'll wake up at 2 and she's like, where are you at? I'm like, I'm in the office. She's like, oh my God. And then same thing, man. So it's like 4:30 in the morning. She'll wake up like 7 and she's like, and I'm already like freaking out, listening to ET. I'm drinking. I'm already wired as a cup of coffee. And she's like, what time did you get up? I was like, why? And she's like 3:30. She's like, oh my God, here we go. And I was like, hey, I couldn't go back to sleep. But that's the thing, man. There's so much stuff like that I want to get done. I want to accomplish, because I don't like doing stuff with my kids. Or I said 9:30 because my kids go to bed at 9.
Right.
With you, whatever, they're always sleeping. I keep that stuff away from my kids. Like, when they're home, I'm here with them. We do whatever. We play sports, do our thing, and 4:30 to like 6, because they wake up at 6:30 on their own, whatever. And I take them to the bus stop, whatever, and then they go to school. But when they're home, I'm with them, and I'm doing their stuff. I'm not on my phone. I'm not doing nothing. Like, it's all about them. School, sports, outside, building something, whatever. And that's it. And then when they're asleep, that's when I come in and do my work. Sometimes I got to go do a closing or go show some clients, whatever, but they get that. My little one, man, he's 3 years old. He already knows that. He's like, Daddy. I was like, what? Like, you going to work? I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go work. He's like, you got to make that money? I'm like, yeah. He's like, oh, so you can buy apples and bananas? I'm like, yeah. He's like, okay, I love you, bye. Like, he knows, like,
that's so dope.
So he can get bananas and apples, and that's it, So he's like, okay, he lets me go to work, But yeah, man, like, it's, people don't get it. Like, they just want what you got, but they aren't willing to put the work. They aren't willing to put the hours. They just want to be like, okay, well, what's the secret to success? I'm like, man, it's on each individual. You have to find your niche. You have to find, how bad do you want it? How bad do you want it? That's all it is. Like, if you want it that bad enough, you're not going to sleep. Like ET says, sometimes goes 2 days without sleeping, because he's so doing whatever. Like, so, I mean, I sleep some, but again, in a way, we're a little bit different, because the drill field made us like that a little bit, sleep deprived. We could still function. Like sometimes I do more stuff on 3 hours of sleep than when I get 8 hours. You know, it's like I'm so like doing so much stuff. I mean, like I said, we get wired like that from the Marine Corps with you know with duty and that's just we just
Dude,
like
oh
the
my,
duty, the field, the deployments, the sex at night. Like it's just you know it just your clock your sleeping clock is all jacked up. You can function on 2 hours, 3 hours. It doesn't matter because you've been there, you've done it. So yeah, it's just a part.
yeah, that's crazy, man. And you know, listening to everything that you spoke about prior to, and then talking about your transition. So, do you remember in the beginning where I said the reason why I wanted to go all the way to the back of your younger years is because I wanted to fast forward when we talked about your end result to see how it all matches up. You know, you talked about from early years of having your father that was very strict, you know, and to me that what I'm getting from that is that helped to mold the discipline that you had to be able to do these things. Because no matter how motivated you are to do things, there's a difference between motivation and discipline.
Yep.
You know, motivation is feeling like you want to do something. Discipline is doing it whether you feel like it or not.
Yep.
And having those two things together that's a beautiful thing because not a lot of people can do that.
Not only that, like you know, what to add, and I just thought about to add into you know the school, the kids, the real bins. You know, just started up our church. Me, the wife, and a pastor. We launched a church today. Last Sunday was a pre-launch, so you know we've been going at it for a couple of months, trying to find a location. And, you know, us being realtors trying to help them out find a commercial building, but we ended up finding a building, whatever.
Right.
And we had to put so much work into it. I did the floors in the kids' daycare. Like I put like a lot of work into that, and then that's just not another piece. You know, like you know you gotta do God's work too. You know, and through Him, you know, you'll get blessed. But you know, it's one of those things like my dad was the way he was, but I know he had a heart. My mom would tell me, hey, Miko, when you were deployed, you know, your dad would cry at night, like, but he never showed it, and which is fine. You know,
That's crazy.
I never saw him, and I was fortunate because my dad never beat my mom, was never an alcoholic, didn't have no addiction. So it's one of those things like his only, and when I met my wife, and she fell in love with me, obviously, you know, because it wasn't you know, the other way around. That's my big joke. Like she fell in love with me, she proposed to me, and I said, okay, why not? But I was like, she loved that campaign cover, you know, all that stuff. And we all had various stuff. But when she met me and she met my dad and she saw how he was, she was hesitant. She was like, are you gonna be like your dad? Are you gonna turn out to be that, you know, that strict Mexican guy, whatever? So the first kid we had, she kind of took a gamble at it, you know. But when she saw, you know, the way I was and the way, you know, I wasn't very macho, I changed diapers after that. She's like, you know, okay, good deal. So now my three boys is like it's day and night, man, like from my dad. But I know why my dad the way he was, man. When he had a stroke, he had an open heart surgery, he had like a 6 bypass surgery. And I kid you not, man, my dad was laying in bed and he was in the hospital here, same when he died at, and he was there. And my grandpa walked in, man, his dad walked in and he sees him and he walks in. My grandpa, I mean, tall Mexican guy, big old, his cowboy hat, his boots. Can't make this up. He walks in. It's like I'm in there, you know, my dad, whatever. He walks in there. He looks at him. He's like, "Hang in there." And my dad says, "Yes, sir." Grandpa walks out, leaves. That's it, bro. That is all. That's all my grandpa said. That's it. And I'm like, that is the way he is, because that is the same love he got. You know, that's all he knew, man. I was like, you know, I was like about to go to prison of attention when my grandpa walked in, but he just walked in, and my dad had just been opened up, bro, like opened up, 6 bypass surgery. Grandpa just walked in like it was a burn, like hang in there, and he just walked out. No hug, no I love you, nothing, like just straight up. And I was like, that's deep, like and that's how I kind of like. That's kind of the way my dad is, because you know he got no love growing up, so that's all he knew, you know. So, but yeah, it's crazy how but now I think I broken that, and I'm not that way with my kids, you know. It's life's too short for that, man.
So, and I hate to ask this question, I hope you don't mind. Is your grandpa still alive?
Oh no, man, my grandpa died the same hospital my dad died.
Like before him though.
Oh yeah. He died. My dad he didn't go see him. My grandpa was he went from this big guy to like a little bitty wrinkled up like in the hospital. Yeah, my dad, he was living with me at the time, and his mom and both my grandparents died like a week apart. And it's a long story, but my dad didn't get along with his side of the family because my dad wanted to do greater, bigger things. And so he broke out on his own, and that side of the family didn't like my mom. So anyways,
right.
When my grandpa was in the hospital, my dad refused to go see him because he just didn't want to associate with, his other siblings, whatever. And I think he didn't want to see his dad like that because my dad didn't want to break down.
Right.
So, yeah, the one time I saw my dad break down, and I can still remember vividly, was when my sister was in a coma in El Paso before she passed away. He was at the house, and I took him to the hospital, and he's walking, whatever, and she's got all these tubes, man. Like her brain is done. She's got her brain and her body, they're not communicating. She's got all these tubes, whatever, and that's a daughter, That's like she had two daughters.
Yeah.
And as soon as I'm walking with them, as soon as he goes, he looks, and you got the window, kind of with a page in there. He doesn't even make it to a turn. He walks, looks over, and sees my sister laying there with tubes, whatever, and he just buckles, man. Just like, okay, I had to grab him, and he kind of started crying, whatever. And then he's like, he just should know. And I took him, did an about face, took him back, and he really kind of got his composure back. And then now take me home. Like he couldn't make it inside to see my sister and say goodbye to her, whatever. It was too much for him. And then that was the one time in my life that I would see my dad lose his bearing, per se. And that's how it was, man, to the day he passed. Even when I went and saw him, I saw him one time in the ICU. He was in there. He was like, just seeing your dad with the machines. And I mean, COVID's horrible, man. It is horrible. I had it. My dad got it, and my dad passed away from it. Like, just seeing the stuff that he had to go through just to survive. And it's like 3 weeks in the ICU was like, when he passed, I was like, he's good now. He's not suffering, man. Because the stuff that they tried to do to keep him alive is like, I couldn't do it, man. My dad went 3 weeks of the machines they had him on. I was like, wow. I was like, man, you have no idea the stuff that they have to do to you to, keep your lungs functioning. My dad put up a fight, man. He put up a fight, and when we thought he was coming out of it, one day his heart it was bad enough he was diabetic, bad enough he had an open heart surgery, 6 bypass, and he was weak. His immune system was weak. It was like, yeah, he was 60 something when he died, 65, 66, but it was like 3 weeks was a long time, It just sucks the way he left, we couldn't visit or whatever. But I was able to see him, because in a way, you kind of work your military into. When I spoke to a doctor, he was already there like 2 weeks. I'm like, hey, my dad's been there for 2 weeks. We haven't seen him, we didn't talk to whatever. And you tell me he's kind of declining. Let me go in there and let me see him. Maybe I can motivate him. Kind of like give him some aspiration, whatever. And yeah, man, they let me go in there, suited me up, hazmat, whatever. And I saw him through the window, and he saw me, and it was like, he got all like, eyes were all open, whatever. And I'm like, I feel like that you can do, hang in there, whatever. And then yeah.
Awesome.
And then a week later, man, like 2 days later, he was like, they called, hey, he's good. We took him off the ventilator, we took him off the machine, whatever. And they downgraded him to another room. There was no recovery. And then that day, bro, they called me. They're like, hey, he's gone. And I was like, and I knew it, man, because they never call you for anything. You call them to get off stage.
Right.
I told nurse, hey, I don't care if you call me. I don't care if you don't call me. No news is good news. He said, but if you calling me, something's going on, you gotta let me know. Because I was like the next of kin. I was the point of contact for the whole family.
Right.
And I was like, and when I got that phone call, I was like, oh, here it is. And I got the phone, and I was outside, and my wife's like, what happened today? My dad's gone. She's like, what? I was like, yeah, I gotta go. I gotta go see him. I gotta go look at the body. I got all this stuff, whatever. And she's like, are you okay? I was like, yeah, can you tell the kids? Because I couldn't do it, man. I couldn't do it. Like, can you tell the kids? And so she told the kids, whatever, and we met at my mom's house. But it was different, man. Like, just seeing your pops pass.
Right.
Like I told my wife, like, the way he was me growing up, and when he shipped me up to boot camp, and then 20 years apart, and then coming back. Like there's no like loving the dad, maybe the man I am, but there wasn't like that lots of love and hug and I'm gonna miss you. Like we didn't bond a lot because I was gone when I was 17.
Right.
When I came back, I was married with kids, and I was a full grown man, and he was already like falling apart with the diabetes, whatever. So it was like the roles were reversed. Like now I was the breadwinner. I was taking care of my mom. I was taking care of my kids, my family. So it was like it was different watching. It's just hard, man. When you grow up with a father that's so strict, like we would go on trips. Like we could go down to the store, he'd be in my truck and like dead silence in my truck. Didn't know what to talk about. Like, what do we talk about? Like you can't be like, hey, Dad, what's up? We just like, it's awkward, man. Like just having pops there because you just don't know how to communicate with him, because the way he was growing up, and then you leave and don't see him. So it was definitely different. It was different, but it's just the way I was, man. It's just one of those things like. I think it helped me, but I'm definitely not gonna do it to my kids, because now that's just how it was back then, man. It was back in the days, there was no social media, there was nothing. I mean, that's all it was,
Right.
Home, get good grades, do your homework, or get beat with whatever's available if you do something wrong. I'll run the chancla, or the switch, whatever. Like, and if they mess with you, bring it back. Like, what? You just missed me. Bring it back.
Yeah.
Different times, brother. Yeah, different times.
Man, that's awesome. I guess most people always assume that people that are in the military, especially they make it to 20 years and they, and they retire. You just already assume that they just went through a lot of stuff in life, but there's always that period of time prior to you actually joining. It's like we kind of forget sometimes that some people literally have gone through life before the military ever even became a thing. And, for you to be able to do that and still be where you're at today, man, I'm definitely thankful to know you, because a lot of those things, like I said, I've kind of kept in touch over the years, and, I pay attention to people, when they're true, whether they're genuine, and the certain things that they can actually teach me to help me become better. And you've definitely taught me a lot of things on how to become better, how to be organized, how to be strict and firm, who should you focus your not negative attention. Like I remember watching you as a chief, and even on the depot when I was like a green belt, like you were always like cool as hell to me. We were on quota at this time. I think you were at STC. But like it's like yeah, and it's like the things that I was remembering about what people were saying about you, I was like, what are they talking about? Like I don't see any of those things. Yeah. To fast forward that to like when we go to OCS, I was only a sergeant instructor. That's not a lot, but I was a sergeant instructor. I wasn't the platoon sergeant, but I would see you giving like the platoon sergeant that work. But it's like me as a sergeant instructor, it was like a whole different type level, and I don't think it was because you knew me from before, because I expect you that regardless if you know someone, you're supposed to be cool with someone, they still got to get trained. You know what I'm saying? You still got to do what it requires, but I think that resonated to me because all too often, like sometimes I would kind of talk to the PFC sometimes, not talk to them in a messed up manner, but I would kind of focus my attention on them for something that I should be focusing my attention on the sergeant instead. Mm-hmm. So instead of having that, you should be a lot cooler with the PFC, the higher you get up than you are with the person that's in charge of them. Mm-hmm. So I definitely learned a lot from that, and I appreciated all the mentorship and guidance that you gave me. Because everybody sucks when you first start. Whole bunch of paperwork and all this other stuff. I'm gonna be honest, like a lot of that stuff is like it was hard to use common sense because it just wasn't common sense that you could just evaluate.
I always had that approach, man, like that tough love, like, and I tell my kids that, like, if I didn't love you, I wouldn't demand from you. Like,
right.
I wouldn't care if you succeed or fail, like, or whatever, you're just gonna suck at life. But I demand from you, and it's that tough love, and I tell it to my nephews like that, like, I give you that tough love, because I tell them, life is hard, and John Wayne said, life is hard, but it's hard if you're stupid. So, you figure it out, so it's one of the same, like, I love to read, and I talk to my kids all the time, and that's one thing that as a matter of fact, I bought that book because I started listening to Jocko a lot.
Right.
He came out with, he's got a bunch of books, and he's got some kids books too. And I bought him one that's kind of like about bullying, whatever. and it's Jake and his uncle, and it's awesome, dude. Like it kind of does like the uncle was in the military. He comes and he comes for the summer, and Jake has all these problems, and the uncle pretty much slays him and does PT and stuff like that, and kind of molds him into a better individual to get rid of his problems. But then it goes over bullying, and it's got the warrior, the kid warriors code, the warriors kid code that got to memorize or whatever. Like my kid, bro, before he even shot the pellet gun, he knew all it says weapon safety rules. He knows them already. At 6 years old, I was like, "You're not gonna shoot this pellet gun until your weapon safety rules." And he knows them, man. Treat, never keep. He tells them all. Before we shoot, he says, it's like, so there's stuff that but you just gotta be careful when you raising little kids, because I mean, my middle one, he's not titiri, but he's different. This guy is like, man, he's gonna be my one, but he's like, one day he was at school and he told the teacher, "Nope, not today, Isis, not today." I'm like, "Nico, you can't say that to the teacher then," because me and my house would be like, "No, not today, Isis, And I'm like, "Oh," and or every now and then they'll be like, "Bam, sis," when they do something like, "Bam, sis." I'm like, okay, and then people look at him like, "What did he just say?" I'm like, "Oh, don't worry about it." I mean, they pick, they'll be like the best one that will go in the house, and one does something that my oldest be like, "Wow." I'm like, "Oh," like, because they get it from me and my wife be like, "Wow." Like, yep, that's the biggest sarcasm word. Like, "Wow, must be nice." They said, "Must be nice." So,
yeah.
They're little sponges, man. But no, I mean, it's one thing. I'm first and foremost, just blessed. That God's always had my back, whether it's been, wherever in my home military career. But I mean, like, I see you're gonna do great things, man. Like I said, I'm not selfish, because I saw it firsthand, man. My dad died, and what did he take with him? Nothing. He left my sister the Corvette. I got some of his belongings, whatever. Like, no matter what you accomplish in life or what you do, you're still gonna die alone, and you're still gonna die where you can't take money, you can't take nothing with you. You're just gonna end up. So what's the point of being selfish or being ungrateful while you're still alive? Try to impact as many people as you can. Put your thumbprint so your legacy moves on. So your legacy. Even though I wasn't the most perfect guy, and I'm not about trying to be the most influential, whatever. But the people I do talk to and the people I do interact with, I try to help them out and motivate them. I really focus on 10 people that I know and try to make them better, than try to focus on the masses that I don't see on a daily basis that I don't know about. I mean, I don't need cool points. I already did recruits and candidates. I know that I put a thumper in a bunch of them. I know they're out there and still remember me. They're DI, so I don't live off kudos, man. But yeah, no, man, it's hard. It's not easy transitioning, but it's all on you, man. It's people like with your podcast and having guys like me and having George Dulway, he's doing great things, man. I remember him when he was first starting his gym and stuff like that, all the doubters, all the haters, whatever. And I remember when I was a company gunny at Mal's at Miramar, he would come in and we would talk, and he had his issues, whatever, and we would hash it out, whatever, But you could always count on the hats, man, to get shit done. Like, you could always hit up a hat, no matter what time frame, whatever, and they will make it work. I mean, that's one thing that the military has with the drill instructors. They're like, no matter where you put a hat, he's gonna succeed. So I mean, I knew he was gonna do great things, and so are you, man, because we have that. We've been slaved, we've been ridiculed, we've been tormented, we've been played games. Like, there's nothing that this world can do to us that we didn't survive from the drill field, or we didn't survive from combat. Like, what? You should see what they done to me when I was a drill instructor. So it's one of those things like you might not know you have it, but you do when you face adversity. You go back to that, like, boy, it could be worse. I could be on lights for no reason.
Right.
Have to do all this, paint all these belts and do all this stuff, whatever. And I'm like, okay, this is nothing. So you always have something worse to compare it with, No, man, thanks for having me on, brother. Like, it's a pleasure, Hope it reaches some bats, and you got my email, brother. Whatever you need, you can count on me. It can be monetary, it can be whatever. I'll brand the hell out of you. I'm all about. As a matter of fact, being the wife, we're looking for an organization to do. She said a name. Like I said, I'm dumb, but she's the one with the masters. It's like branding, where we are whatever we make from our business,
right?
Support an organization and saying, hey, Casas Cardenas, proceeds from our commissions, whatever it goes to, to this organization.
Oh, you're talking about Sponsor.
Yeah, it's like a sponsor, but sponsor branding or something like that. But I use my brand to sponsor, but I use your name saying, hey, maybe you got to bet something. You know what? I'll buy a house from them because they give money to this organization, or they give like Wounded Warrior. They use the Wounded Warrior logo, and they're like, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna buy a house from them because their proceeds go to the Wounded Warrior Foundation. It's kind of like using that to brand your name out there at the same time. So we got to talk about that, man. See how I can support you and what you need, because like I said, man, and I'm all about it. My wife, she loves the way we are because she's like, be about it, don't talk about it. You tell me, hey, Gunny, my stuff just went down, whatever. Bro, Zell, what you got? How much you need? You today, me tomorrow. We'll figure it out later, So count on me for whatever you need, brother. It's like nothing illegal, but whatever you need, bro, let me know, bro. I know it's a struggle. It's a struggle, bro. I could, and one last thing, I can show you right now, like what I'm gonna make in 2 months, bro. It's crazy. In 2 months, I'm making more than what I made in the Marine Corps in 1 year, just from my business itself. Like my last job, I made that salary in a month. Forecasting to make 6 figures this year if I keep going this way. So you'll see, man. You'll see about it, bro. Like I said, man, I'm not to brag, and I don't put it on a lot of Facebook, making this, whatever, making moves, but every now you gotta throw some out there, let people know, your company's doing good, and you can sell, and you can, sell houses like that. Okay, that's a good company to go to. But I mean, it's just whatever you need, brother. Don't be shy, brother, and call me out and be like, hey, he's all about it. I reached out to him and I needed this, whatever. And he was there. Who else can do that? Use people like me, like do it with way, all those like that. Hey, they talk and they're all about it too. They just don't say they're gonna do it. I'm believe me, bro. I got you. Whatever you need, brother. You're in Arizona right now? Where are you, in Cali?
No, I'm in Cali.
Yeah, man. I'm going to Vegas next month with the wife.
Right.
And we're going to Cancun in March. So if I don't think we're going to go to Cali from Vegas. We got friends in Cali, but anyway, we'll be in Vegas for Valentine's. So if it does happen, whatever, we end up going to Cali for whatever reason, we get tired of Vegas, I'll hit you up, brother. But I mean, I love Cali, bro. Like the Tupac song, Cali. But it's so expensive, man. You with 3 boys and the lifestyle, no way I can live in Cali, man. No, not with my truck and her car, like no.
It is crazy, man. But I do have a spare bedroom that's already set up, already nice. Bed, all that stuff. So if you ever need to stop by, man, you always got a room.
All right, brother. Appreciate it. Yeah, man. Whatever you need, brother. Don't reach out, bro. Don't be shy. Offline, whatever. Let me know. Whatever you need, bro. Let me know. I don't even need the kudos, bro. I want to support you as much as you can. Whatever level you and how they, whatever you guys need. I know she's been in her business for a while with the t-shirts and everything like that.
Right.
What you guys need, man. I know it's not easy, dual hat, being a Marine and doing your podcasting, but stay at it, bro. It'll pay dividends. Just, you got to be patient. The thing with businesses, you have to be patient. It takes a minute, but once it gets going, bro, try to keep up because it could go real quick. So
absolutely. I
got your back, man. Whatever you need.
Hey, I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much for being, once again, another amazing guest here on the Veteran Influencers podcast. And, I always told myself that I wanted to find, because I could be reaching out to people, like you said, the 100,000, 200, 500,000 view people, but I always told myself that one of the things I wanted to do with, these podcasts is grab all the people that have influenced me personally in my life and put them on a platform. Not that I'm doing you a favor or anything, but just more so this is my way of showing, my appreciation,
Yes, sir. No, I appreciate it, man. Whatever, like I said, got your back too, man. Whatever it is, stay in the hustle, bro. It's not easy, but it'll pay off, bro. It'll pay off, and good luck. And when, do you get promoted already? You get promoted soon?
Yeah, no, I did.
Congratulations, bro. I totally forgot about that.
Appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Long time overdue, bro. But it's regardless, it's well deserved, brother.
Thank you so much, man. I definitely appreciate you, man.
Yes, sir. You stay in the fight, brother.
All right, brother. Appreciate you, man.
Out.
All right. Peace.